Hello, everyone from Football Discussions. A great pleasure for me to have in my panel of discussion great coaches with a great mindset and with a modern philosophy and approach of the game. With me, Coach Eelco Schattorie. I don't know if I pronounce it correct.
Perfectly. All you need to know is I'm Dutch. I'm from Holland. I have an UEFA Pro license. I went to the hairdresser especially for this evening. So let's make it a good conversation.
Yes, dear. Thank you. For everyone who, I believe majority of our followers, they already know Coach Eelco. He's very famous in Europe and in Asia, working with different clubs and contributing in different ways within the federations, contributing with coaching the coaches, contributing in Superliga, in different teams in Asia and also in Europe. Also, assistant coach for Avram Grant, main coach Champions League in Chelsea. That's well known. With me, Coach Niccolo Gracia, originally Italian, working with clubs like Empoli, Fiorentina, and now he's contributing in Saudi Arabia. Pleasure to have you here in my panel, dear. With me,
Thanks
Coach
for
Wais
the invite.
Azizi with me, League One Ontario coach, first division in Canada, with a great modern approach. And with me is Coach Juxhin, under 21 coach of El Busaitin in Bahrain, and technical director of Tumuh El Ihtirafi, with and also with academy currently in Saudi Arabia. Okay, dears, it's a pleasure having you here. For sure, we are, I would say, all of us, we kind of have the same mindset in terms of how we would like to organize our teams. Everyone is having their specifics, but I would say we have our modern way of approach, and we're more kind of possession-oriented coaches. The topic we wanted to address today will be delicate because there is disadvantage into it, and maybe certain coaches might believe is not the right way of preparing a team. Is the art of build-up. I would like to hear your opinions because everyone is their own way of approaching certain things. Coach Eelco, why don't you tell us what does it mean for you as a coach, building from the back?
First of all, that fits my overall vision on football. That means my Dutch background, we like to play ball possession based football. That is one. Secondly, that is also more the nature of my personality. I like to dominate. I'm not somebody who likes to sit back and see what happens. I like to take initiative, and that also means, yeah, if you want to play ball possession-based football, you need to make a good build-up from the back. Having said that, a build-up from the back does not mean at all cost. That can be very patient, but that could also be very direct, depending, of course, on the quality of the opponent team.
I totally agree. Actually, because there is a misconception that, for example, if I would like to skip the line of pressure, means like it's not build up. No, this is part of the build up. I'm happy that you address this point. Okay, Coach ZILI, if you would want to add something in terms of the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of to echo the same sentiment. For me, building up from the back is about, controlling the game from the first moment. You're becoming the protagonist. It's not just about passing between defenders. It's about inviting clear pressure to create space beyond. Every pass has to have an intention when you're building from the back. Then if we control the ball, we control the rhythm and the space and the tempo of the game. And that's usually what I aim to do. And that's kind of my definition of it. And also building from the back is a way of expressing courage and identity in the way you want to play. It's about being risky it's not about being risky for the sake of, for the sake of it, but about taking responsibility with the ball, using your goalkeeper and defenders as the first point of attackers. And that's the way I want my players to feel brave and calm under the pressure. And that's basically my take on it.
Yeah, as you said, we're speaking about what does it mean for you as a coach build up. We didn't really specify something in terms of first team or because there's a lot of benefits as you mentioned. If you would like to start build up, let's say from the grassroots or from under 15, this builds a lot of courage and everything, players, leadership, responsibilities, and decision making, etc., etc. Okay, Coach Nico, what's your input on that?
Yeah, I think mainly already the previous coaches said is trying to have control of the game. You have more benefits than disadvantage. I think it's something that we can have control. Is in training we can have with the work we can have control on that instead of kicking the ball and hoping for the second ball. So it's a way to try to have a control of our work. Is a way of respect also for what we do during the week. And of course, you have to adjust also to the kind of pressure of the opponent. And also, as a ex-player, I also think that you have more engaged from the players because it's always better to play than to kick the ball and hope. So it's
Yes.
my
Yeah.
idea.
And Eugene, what's your feedback?
Personally, I see it building from the back as a tactical approach where the team in possession, they are initiating the attack from the build-up phase, maintaining the ball possession, initiating the attack from the goalkeeper, and trying to progress from build-up to the progressing zone, to a more advanced area. Through controlled passing, through controlled movements. It can be different types of build-up. Usually in Italian, I hope Coach Niccolo is aware with this. There are three types of build-up phase. We use the manovrata one, the accelerata, and the diretta. The manovrata one is when you're building against teams that only press with their forwards. There is the accelerata one, that teams pressing with the attackers and the midfielders. But actually the defenders, they're defending deep. So there is space between the lines. But it's aggressive type of pressing. As per the diretta one is building against teams who press with full team aggressively. But these are the teams that they are letting the spaces behind. This is my perception and point of view. Generally, we can go to more details and elaborate for the topic itself.
Sure. Okay, dears. Now we already entered the topic, and I'm happy about that. What do you guys think are some of the core principles that coaches should have in consideration when they decide to bring this thing on their teams? Because there is a lot of risks in it. But what are some of the core principles that you should have into consideration as a coach? For example, what are some of the components you need to have on your team in order to be able to start that thing? Yes, Coach Eelco.
For me, first of all, either you are in a low block, in a mid block, or in a high block. In all three blocks, you can make the build up, as in if the opponent team is in front of you. But the core principle for me is that players, you need to be realistic. I'm not a coach who says at all times you need to make a build up. And what does that mean? If you don't have the quality players, if you have certain players with less technical ability to play out under pressure, then you should also not be stubborn and insist on making a high ball circulation, whatever. But the principle itself that I look at is how do we kill the pressure? One of the principles I call it more of a rotation. It's called move around the ball. That means I will always use the space behind me, meaning if you make let's say that the wing back, the right or the left wing back has the ball, instead of he plays a ball to the midfielder and running forward, he can also come inside. And that brings me to basically the second principle, that is, how do you use space? Don't be traditional in how do you use the space. Space is always to be used, either if it's the inverted wing back, the false nine. These are concepts where you basically use space in a way to advance yourself. So if you would call that a principle, I don't know. But for me, the big idea is that players need to understand how do we use space to kill pressure, in combination, of course, with your technical skills, and are you able to do so?
Yes. Okay, Coach Nico, what's your feedback?
Yeah, for how I like to work, then of course, like the coach said before, it depends on the players that you have at your disposal. But generally speaking, I like the +1 in the build-up. So always try to build up with one player more compared to the number of players that are pressing you. I like to have more control, to always play with, not always, but try to play. I prefer to play with two playmakers, so two number 6. And the simple principle I give to my players is, can I make a key pass? Key pass is a pass that break one line of pressure, and then you can have an open ball. If I can't make a key pass, you need to gain time again, and so try to play the ball where the pressure starts. And this is something that you see a lot, for example, with the Zerbi. And in that case, you start to use a third man. So you can use a fullback as a third man or one of the two number 6. So these are the principle I give to my players, generally speaking. Can you make a key pass? No? Okay, try to play the ball where the pressure starts. First of all, there is, if I can dribble, I dribble. So first I go forward. If I can go forward, I play the ball where the pressure starts. This is my idea of vertical possession, generally speaking.
Sure. Okay, Coach Eugene.
I already support the opinions of the coaches, and I appreciate the feedback. My personal point of view, there are different kinds of principles that can be used when we're building from the back, but there are certain considerations that we need to keep. There are certain elements we need to keep under consideration. Me personally, I think technical proficiency is a big one. Players need to be comfortable with the ball, need to have the right decision making, need to be able to see, to recognize the space. When is the time to play through? When is the time to play around? When can I play over? When can I switch the play? Short passes, making the right decision, the proper spacing when we're building up. With the fullbacks, where they need to stay, need to be relational distances between the blocks itself. A big one also, what Coach Niccolo mentioned, is the +1 effect, to bring players from the other lines to create numerical advantage in different zones of the field. And this is how you are able to come out of the pressure. Another one is positional flexibility, having the right rotations between the players or interchanging positions in order to create space, and also to have outlet players to get out of the pressure. Off the ball movement is a big one. Team synchronization is also another one. Understanding the way the opponent is playing, I think.
Yes.
We need to be able to see if the opponent forces the play inside or forces the play outside. If the opponent forces the play outside, what are the options we can play? How can we get out of it? If the opponent is forcing the play in, what are the channels that we can play? And more consideration.
I actually agree with all of you until now. Coach Eelco actually make a very good point, because my question was not how can we get out of high pressing? How can we build up against high pressing? So he actually mentioned a very good point. You need to know, as you guys mentioned, when we have the space. If we are playing against a middle block team, you already have the first third. Now the pressure is not there in the first third, but how are you able to play between lines? How can you play around? All these are very important. For me specifically, as a coach, I think rotations, what Coach Eelco mentioned, very important. You need to have fluidity. You need to have,
Let me add one thing, as in, because I always like to simplify things and think from a big picture. Attacking for me is simply, I could sum it up in one word, is manipulating the opponent's choices. So that means, and how do I do that? Is the way you use space. And a very easy or simple example is if the right wing back go forward and the right winger go inside, the left wing back of the opponent has to cover 2 players. Like, should I step in to the left, should I to the right? So it's about manipulating. At least that's how I see it. Attacking, either low block, mid block, high block, it's manipulate the opponent's decisions by using space properly. That's basically the best way to explain.
Yes, dear. Thank you for your feedback. For me personally, attract to release, very important. Attract opponent to release space. Rotations, all this what you mentioned. Yes, Coach ZILI. We call you ZILI or Wais? What is the best for you?
It's up to you guys.
I think ZILI is the best. Okay, Coach ZILI, tell us.
You guys all, made valid points about different core principles of building out from the back. For me, it's building out from the back has 3 phases. One, which is building up from goal kick. Then at other times there's building up from open play. And then, of course, building up higher up once the play has progressed in its final phase. One of the principles, I don't want to repeating the same thing that you guys repeated, but one of the key principles for me is understanding always the direction of the pressure of the opponent.
Yes.
Always create that +1, like Coach Nico said. It's very important to understand where the direction of is coming from. And that's also on the training field, to make the players understand where normally the direction of the pressure comes from. Using the third man concept, usually the space where the pressure comes from, the direction, that's usually how you find your free man. And I mean, you can do this with various exercises, but this is a pretty much a general rule when you're, especially when you're using the keeper, even with a man-oriented press, which is everything is locked and you always have that the keeper free. But once you unlock and the players understand and you teach them where the direction of pressure is arriving, you can always find the free man from there. And then from there, layers and steps.
Yeah. Great feedback, guys. I would like to say, what do you guys believe? For example, why do we need build up, first of all, and second of all, what are some of advantages and disadvantages? If you can sum it up. Yes, Coach Nico.
Yeah, as I said before, I think to have an impact as a coach with the work that you have in training, you have to try to have an impact. So as I said before, to just kick the ball and hope for the second ball, it's something that it doesn't give you control. So the game plan in terms of build up, that can also be like you said before, play direct is still a build up, no? So it depends from the kind of pressure, but I think after we can go more in deep on that. If they come to press you with 6 players, in my opinion, you have to play the ball. If they come man-to-man, we have to try to make a space where we can arrive. So what I like to do is to keep 3 players that pin the defensive line. The other block drop a lot if they come man-to-man, and then we create a lot of space between in the heart of the team, of the opponent team, where you can try to find third man and go direct. So the principle, the guideline I give to my players is if they come with 6 players, you play short. Otherwise, if they come man-to-man, we have to go long. So the rule that we give is that to play football, you have to be able to count. Yeah. How you count? You look at the defensive line. So the first player have to be able to count is the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper see everything. So just look at the defensive line. If they are with 4, they're pressing with 6, so you play. Sure. If they are with 3 in the back, it means we have to go direct.
So what about some of disadvantages there? What do you see some of disadvantages of build-up?
Oh, as Coach Eelco said before, you also have to match you have to be realistic, no, with the level of your team. And if you find an opponent team that want that you build up because they're very good in pressing, of course you have to be more direct, no. So you have to sum all these things, but it's not so easy not to do. That's why I think the work of the coach is beautiful also for these reasons. There is not a recipe.
Yes, Coach Eelco.
Yeah, I have, again, I always think in big picture, the big picture idea, and from there I work backwards. One of the things, you can't score if you don't have the ball. So whatever strategy you choose in order to score, you will need to have the ball. And in my opinion, the more you have the ball, the more chance you have to, and comes to an advantage, that you show out confidence, that you show that we as a team don't want just to sit back, but we show that we're here to dominate. The disadvantage, if you, for instance, do not play too much on ball possession, could be physical, and that means you will have to train more physically. Like if you have more the ball, and the other team would have to run more, and I just make it theoretically. That's what I mean. So the disadvantage from not making a good build-up or not having a lot of ball position, you will have to be more physically fit because you will have to run more. It's very simple to understand. At least that's how I see it. That would be a disadvantage from not doing a build-up. The disadvantage from doing a build-up, as you said, if you become too cocky, if you become too arrogant, because you can also be overconfident, where things go wrong. And that also has many times been proven, especially in modern football. You see many teams cost want to make the build up, and I'm talking about own half, where you see really stupid mistakes being made. So be realistic.
Be realistic, yes. Or if you're overconfident, it can be very risky. Yes, Coach ZILI.
Yeah, the advantages are apparent for most coaches in the idea of building out from the back, because football in general is an invasion sport, right? So we're always constantly looking to invade a territory, invade the opposition's space, and to do that, you can either go to the teeth or you can go to the feet, right? I just quoted Roberto De Zerbi in that sense, where so if you're looking to dominate this space and invade the space of the opponent, it must be done strategically and methodically, and to go always to go long, and you're committing a bet. Whereas in building up, the advantages are you're working and you're having the entire team being involved in it, and that way it builds, it improves, intelligence of the player, and the players are constantly involved in problem solving rather than just playing reactively. So that for me is an advantage in that sense. The disadvantage is the one that I see the most, is the technical proficiency, because no matter how good your players are, even if you buy them at the highest price, thinking that your goalkeeper is the best with his feet in the world, there will always be mistakes. And I'll give you a specific example that recently happened. Manchester City went up 1-0 against Juventus, and immediately about 2-3 years later, went out building out from the back, and Ederson, being known as one of the top keepers in the world with his quality with his feet, made a misplaced pass to Silva, and at that high level, it cost you so much, and immediately Juventus equalized. So sometimes you cannot negate those, the technical mistakes that all human players will make. They're not robots, they're not computers. So it's bound to happen. The risk is there, and that's the disadvantage. But that's, of course, back on the training ground, as Coach Nico had said earlier, that's our job. That's what gives us the pleasure of this job, is to work, and the players are improving all the time and mitigating those mistakes. Mistakes you'll never be finished, because it's a game of mistakes. But at the end, I think that would be the only disadvantage because of the mistake of the individual players will cost you sometimes. That's all.
Okay, Coach Eugene.
Supporting the valuable opinions of dear coaches, I would like to add furthermore why we need it. In my point of view, we need it because building from the back, actually, we can say that it allows our teams to control the game. And we know if you control the game and you're dominating and you're setting up the tempo and you're setting up the rhythm, this mentally will break down the opponent. Coach Eelco also mentioned the physical part, also is the psychological part over here. I remember a few years ago, Real Madrid and Barcelona, they were playing a Clásico game, was in Barcelona, and actually ended up 5-0. Mentally, Real Madrid already broke down because of running physical. It's different when you run with the ball, and it's different when you run without the ball. When you run with the ball, psychologically, you are much stronger. I think we need it because you can control the game. I think you need it. We can break the opposition pressure. We can set up the rhythm. We can create more opportunities. As Coach Eelco already mentioned, when we're attacking, we're dominating, we're having the ball. By having the ball, mentally you break out the opposition. As per advantages, actually I mentioned why we need it. As advantage, I think you are controlling the game. You are having that position dominance. We're looking forward. Your team will dictate the pace of the play by having the possession. The opponent, if he doesn't know your intention, what goes to you. You have been working this during the week, so you know how to react when you go to the field. You force the opponent to react on the decision that you are making as a coach. As per disadvantage, I would say is high risk and high reward. It's very risky because the more you build from the back, you need to have technically proficient players. If your players are making mistakes, they're making parallel passes, they're not able to have the right decision, and you end up in turnovers, you can get goals very easily, especially when you lose the ball in the central areas, and we know the goal is located in the central area. You're making some fatal mistakes, it will cost you a game, and it will cost you much more than that. So as I said, you need players who have a proper understanding of the game. They have a good technical proficiency. Build up. It goes individually, also as a teamwork. As a teamwork, all the team need to think the same. Is the team synchronized to build up from the back properly? Especially when we deal with aggressive teams who press aggressively and they are very well synchronized. They will not let you even 2 seconds to think about it. So it's high risk and high reward. This is how I see it.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to finish this first part. Then we'll come back after a short break. We'll come back for the second part to discuss the other important points. Okay, thank you.